It's linear. And more Hiroshima. Just keep going. How old are you? 15?
Scary. It's dangerous.
That is very young. That's good.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Today's seminar seminar is textbook seminar. Presenter group 2, 3 and 4. First presentation is group 2. Member of group 2 are Oscar, 五十嵐、マヤ、山岸。We would like to start presentation.あ、そうだ、ベルThis is outline. Chapter 4 Micro Analytical Simulation Models. 五十嵐 and Maya explain Chapter 4. Chapter 5 Mr. Yamagishi introduce queuing models. And Mr. Oscar introduce multi-level simulation models. First, chapter 4, microanalytical simulation models. Outline of chapter 4. First, microanalytical simulation models. I explain about microanalytical simulation models. And next, methodologies. Methodologies are static microsimulation, dynamics microsimulation, and longitudinal microsimulation. And Mr. Maya explain example. In chapter 3, system dynamics models, its target system usually consists of individual persons. Person groups, classes, subpopulations, and so on. Social scientists will therefore, system dynamics models, its target systems as individual pods. So, the social scientists target systems social scientists will be interested in modeling approaches on several levels. The micro simulation approach models individual persons with a number of attributes and a number of transition probabilities. This makes up stochastic micro models. Makes up stochastic micro models as opposed to the deterministic this makes up a stochastic micro models as opposed to the deterministic macro models of the system dynamics approach.
Excuse me, could you explain about the deterministic macro model and stochastic micro model? Or you can give an example.
As we studied previous chapter, we study the system dynamics approach is the Forrester's world model.
Okay. How about
The micro simulation model is explained after.
later? So what is different? It means that arrows. What is mean by arrows? It explain something? The arrow. The arrow. What do you mean by using that arrow? Yeah.
これがリターミニスティックのアポーズとジャスティック決定論的なものに対して確率Most microanalytical simulation models, MSMS, aim to predict the effects of social and financial policy. In general, the most microanalytical simulation model procedure is as follows. We start with the target population from which we draw a representative sample and collect data about some selected properties of its members. The sample serves as a model of the population. The data are entered into a database. Its rows correspond to the individual members of the sample, and its columns terms correspond to the selected properties. Then the microdata file is updated. That is to say, transition probability applies to the individual case. For each simulation step, this procedure is a predicted hypothetical sample. After a number of steps, the microdata file is projected. This projection is an estimation of the structure of the target population after some time has passed. Methodologies. Models simulating the household or individual sector begin from microdata collected from a representative sample of the population. The microdata file typically includes data about age, material status, participation in education and employment, income from various sources, consumption, race, and taxes, and so on. There are several different methodologies for micro-simulation models. First, static micro-simulation. Static microsimulation is usually applied to short-term predictions of the immediate impact of a policy change. For example, a static microsimulation of the impact of a tax reform. We will explain by Mr. Maya. Using data is only one data. Next, dynamic microsimulation. In dynamic microsimulation, the demographic structure of the model population is changed by raising the model persons individually according to life table. For example, a dynamic microsimulation inquiring into future nursing demand. This is also maybe explained easily by Mr. Maya. Thirdly, longitudinal microsimulation. In longitudinal microsimulation, simulation is done on an age cohort and over the whole life of this cohort, thus omitting a population's age structure. longitudinal micro simulation models start from a micro data file that includes only one cohort. These micro units of this file are then aged such that an entire life cycle is simulated.
How about new age?
それも、含めるか。例えば20代だけ、今現在20代だけをシミュレーションする場合は、30代の時に子供を産んだらその子供も、シミュレーションする。ただ他の、10代上の人とか10代下の人はシミュレーションしないというものです。
What is the aim of longitudinal microsimulation? Any example like previous?
The model would, for instance, give answers to questions about whether and to what extent the mean individual is a winner or a loser over his or her entire lifetime.社会保障制度とかでこの人たちが新しい社会保障制度によって一生涯通してどれだけの効果を得られるかとかをシミュレーション、その社会保障の影響をシミュレーションするためにこの方法論を使う。
You said that you think about the new age in this methodology, but I think in this methodology you don't need to think about the new age because this methodology is only focused on that age cohort. If you think about the new age, I think it will become the dynamical microsimulation.これその図は合ってて20代にフォーカスしてその20代の人が年を追っていくごとに社会的イベントが起きて結果的にいくら稼ぐとかいくら損するかっていうのがこの方法論であってその過程のうちで結婚して子供が生まれたとかっていうのはどうでもよくて生まれるイベントは必要なんだけど生まれた子供がどうしようかどうでもいいのよこれは。生まれた子供がまた成長して税金払うってことを考えてくると1個前のやつになるの。これはもうその人自身が人生を送っていく中でどうなるかを見たいだけだから今の日本のイベントで行けば65で定年を迎えてその後年金をもらうからどれくらいの障害収入が出て計算効くでしょっていうのを見たいだけなのこれは。
だからその生まれた子供が、社会保障とかに影響するから子供っていう存在は必要っていう。い
やもうどうでもいいのそんなことは。
なんかその出産に対する保障が
あるかないかだけなのは子供はどうでもいいんだ。子供のことを考えるんであれば1個前のやつ全世帯考えなきゃいけないわけ。そうすると年金額とかも全部計算変わってくるでしょ。これは今の制度で一生追ってみるとある意味みんながなんだろうあっちの人生ゲームの方をやるのと一緒でもうイベントが全部決まって障 い獲得賞金っていうの出るでしょ、あれゲームやっていくと。
一人の人にフォーカスするから計算が簡単になって長い時間できるっていうことだね。
一人っていうかある世代にね。
あ
じゃあ次は智也君がエグザンポを説明してくれます。
面白くないの。
Good morning.
I introduce two examples of a micro simulation. The first example is a static micro simulation. The purpose of this simulation is to get to know the influence of tax. The process is like this. First, I choose some data and weight this. Next, tax system is applied to this data. Next, the new tax system is applied to this data. There are three kinds of tax systems. This table expresses the result of the investigation and part of investigations. Each result national statistics and some. Each result of an investigation are classified according to income. Since distribution of composition population differs, weighting is carried out. There are about 5% of an error as a result.
What is national statistics?
っていうのはアンケートみたいなので、ごく一部の調査です。で、これが分が違う。で、同じように揃えたけども、誤差が。すいません。The division of a class of a course is a tax amount is calculated by modeling tax law. this is algorithm. This part is the child family allowance. ESS
あ、
らしいです。This part is the division rule. If marriage or tax will decrease, and this part is the determination of tax rate. As a result, an error is about 1%. And various scenarios are added to this. The portion of the determination of tax rate changed in the tax reform of 1995. Tax revenue increased for a while. Next, I doubt child family allowance. As a result, tax revenue decrease. Next, if I abolish division rule, tax revenue is increase. Tax revenue increase. Next, I introduce the example of a dynamic microsimulation. The dynamic microsimulation is not introduced not much in detail in a text. So I extracted only the important point. At each step, the change state of the individual data is carried out and it is updated. Microdata file is updated. when a child is born, it is added to the microdata file, and data is not deleted even when people die. Moreover, the born child has parents' information. I can get the information on the human relation. Relations.
I'm sorry, my presentation is broken in this computer, so I'd like to use my own computer. I'm sorry.
Any discussions about statistical microsimulation, microsimulation about the other examples, not in the textbook?
No, I think we covered only the examples.
I think that in the textbook, the author said that there's no way of dynamic microsimulation. But think about it these days. How about your research?
The things, what they say is that when you want to do the dynamic microsimulation, basically you use a general purpose language, like in that time Fortran, maybe today you use Java or C++. But there was a good framework or a good software package to do dynamic microsimulation. So that's what they say. Now, recently, I don't know, can you do it in swarms?
Do you know the Mr. Yamamoto's master thesis?
No, I don't know Mr. Yamamoto's thesis.
How about other students? 山本さんの修士論文研究。じゃあ山岸君そっちないんだポスター。村落における高等体デモグラフィックシミュレーションってありますけど、なんでグループの中でさその辺をサーベイしてもらえるの？しかもダイナミックでしょあれ。ミスター山本でさ、なんだっけ、グランドファーザーがプレジデント、お父さんだっけ？
His father is
The mayor of maybe a small town in 新潟でしたっけ？富山 prefecture. And his father always thinks, oh, many older people know younger people what's going on our town. 少子高齢化の町だった。みんな外に人いっちゃうから。So, 山本さん he's older than me. He's always, oh, how about some policies like getting married or having a baby, a lot of baby? If 2 babies, okay, town will give some money like that. So he simulated 50 years using the real dynamical data, statistical data, because he's a son. So he can get the real data. That's in 2003.
いつ頃
2003年の修士論文で、
その時はやっぱりあんまりそのエージェントベースの
いやソワーズでやってんだよ。
ビジュアルシェルなしの
ビジュアルシェルなしのソワーズで人口動態のデモグラフィックシミュレーションやってるんだよ。 でその中には子供が生まれたり外から人が入ってきたり外に人が出てったりというイベントも全部入ってるの。
じゃあ
だからできてるのもうその時点で。もっと言ってしまうと麻薬とかやろうとしてるのもそれに近いわけだよね。動的なマイクロシミュレーションに近いわけだから、班としてはその辺をサーベイしてこないとさ、教科書通りやるのは全然構わないんだけど、その時代はないっていうのは分かってるんだけどさ、この90何年の話ではね、90年代の本だからこれは。この10年の中で全然世間は変わってるわけで、その辺をちょっとサーベイしてくれると、まあ来年もやるかもしれないから意識してくれるといいかなという。なのでできないわけじゃないです、今の時代では。あともう一個は、八木さんが言ってたけど、班の中でもう一個のシミュレーションの例は出てこなかったの。教科書にはないからないじゃなくてさ、動的と性的シミュレーションやってんだからさ、そう追跡もなんか考えてさ出すとかってしてくれると、いやまあすいませんじゃなくていいんだけどさ、そういうとこまでをするとプラスアルファになる。来年だ、来年ちゃんとやる。
そうですね。
あと、
じゃあいきます。
I have one more thing that I think in the Maya's part there is a table about Germany's and last year we discussed about the percentage and also the how to calculate the value. And I think that last year we didn't get good result.
Yeah, I want to discuss about that. Basically, I check all the way they calculate the people again, and I couldn't find. I couldn't find an explanation. They say that they have a sample of 6,214 people, but in the table they say that they have 6,315. That means 101 person more, 101 sample more in the table, but in the text the number is different. So we don't understand what's the problem with the calculation. But anyway, like the general idea of how the process is modeled is good. So I think it's not so important in order to understand the microsimulation approach. Yeah, I check.
Maybe you should say in the slide or table is mistake or the text is mistake.
Yeah.
逆に M1 が指摘しないってことは理解してないってことだよね。おかしいんだよな、そこの表が。ちゃんと読むとおかしいのが分かる。まあいいや。
So I directed my presentation. My area is chapter 5, queuing models. Queuing models. Please image this this image. This is queue, and this is a server, and each one is a customer. Server is like a register in the supermarket, and queue is the row of the customers. And so I explain that it's a queuing model. A queuing model is applied for engineering. And for example, workflow management. Mr. Trigger's research, his research is more great research, but Mr. Trigger's research is I think it's one kind of queuing models, and with queuing model with agent-based approach, I think. So, and queuing model is discrete event simulation. if we look the queuing model as a discrete event simulation, the model is a system, sets, and its component is sets and events and activities and delays. So I explain the components of the system of queuing models. There is entities called entities. Entities is model objects and properties. And state. State is the system has a state, and this state only be changed by an event. There is discrete event model, so there is some event is occurred in the same rate, like delta t. So the between event and event, and between this time, event is not occurred. Right? Okay. Right.
So the delta t is always the same value?
Yeah. But event is different. Yes. And the system's state is changed only by event. So this is discrete. Characteristics of queuing models. As we said below, the previous slides, there is a queue and server and customer. And this model is stochastic and dynamic. State of servers and queues and customers is changed by the event.
Excuse me. Why you call this model is stochastic? Which part can represent this one is stochastic?
Stochastic. Why stochastic?
Yeah.
Stochastic is occurred by event. For example, I'll present it after. And which customer it comes is stochastic, and there is a many server, and the customer which server the customer choose. This is stochastic.
They choose randomly.
Yeah, but it is a different by the models. That is a choose of views and how we create the model.
So you mean it choose randomly or?
Yeah, we can choose randomly, or we can choose definitively.
Also the time.
Deterministic, yes.
Also the time that a server takes to serve one customer, or the time between arrivals of new customers is stochastic. But it depends on the model, of course.
Not all the models.
Not all the
choose
models.
randomly.
There's some-
Because I think sometimes stochastic, I think it means randomly.
Stochastic means that that events have some associated probability distribution.
ここにいいですか。問題にしているのは、なんでこれがどうやってランダムの要素を入れるのかってことですか。それは伝わってたかわかんないんですけど、こうサーバーが1個何個もあったときに、どこにこのカスタマーが行くかとか、イベントの中にそのランダムの要素を入れることができるので、その決められたシミュレーションじゃなくてもこのランダムの要素を入れるようなシミュレーションを作ることができる。あとはイベント自体は離散的に起こるんですけど、そのイベントの中で例えばこのカスタマーがどれだけこのサーバーに時間をかけるかとか、そういうのもランダムに設定できたりします。それは後でちょっとモデルを見せるので、その後で分からなかったらまた聞いてください。And the characteristic different in the queuing models. There is a FIFO and FIFO and LIFO. So I explain them. FIFO means first in, first out, like this. First in and first out. So the meaning of first is very difficult. So I mistake first. So please think by this image. This is FIFO. Why first? Why first is? I think it's a little difficult. And the FIFO model is ordinary queues like this. This is a queuing model. We image easily, I think. And next, I explain the LIFO. LIFO is last in, first out, like this. Last in, first out. The input and output is the same agent, this model. So I like the laundry and produce, and we go laundry into the laundry bag, and next many laundry and into the right. This is LIFO. Can you understand the difference, right? This is LIFO and LIFO. So there are many software to explain the queuing model. Of course, SOAS it can do. So I just SOAS to explain the example. There are many examples like server and customer. In the bank, server is a counter clerk. The customer is my customer. In the airport, server is a gate or counter or runway, and the customer is passenger and aircraft. In the gate and counter, passenger choose their own counter. So like it's different is the first class or economy class. In the runway case, the aircraft choose their own runway because of their destination. So there are many cases. So I explain the airport example. In the airport example, customer first came from the entrance and information desk. They check in, and they go to passport check and gate, and they will be boarding to the aircraft. The other entrance passport check is but I'd like to show the briefly example of airport case. So there are many information desk and check-in counter. Just image. There are many agents in the information desk. Please, not only information desk, there are in the airport. And the next, they choose their own first class is first and so in this model we can understand the bottleneck is the gate, not their counter. So we can apply queuing model to the real case, like workflow management as triggered research. is just an image. Okay.
戦闘じゃないエージェントは出てくるものなんですか？
戦闘じゃないエージェントが出てきましたか。ゲートからっていうのは
ゲートから今人で映ってるじゃないですか。
はい。
ピコピコって宇宙から出てくるのは。
それはこの並び順がその入った順にうまくこう表現できてないからだと思うんですけど、モデルのアニメーションにうまく起こせてないのかもしれないです。最初の並び方もそうですけど、こんな感じっていうのをすみません、ちょっとここまでこだわれてなかった。Thank you for the kind attention.
オスカルさんのも共有ので火が通としたらファイルが壊れちゃったのでオスカルさんのパソコンで復旧します。
So good morning, everybody. So I will introduce the topic of multi-level simulation models, chapter 6 of the simulation for the social scientist book. So, So, basically, I structured the talk as follows. But first, I will talk about the theory, where I will give a summary of the approach, and then I will talk about the mathematical version of these models, which is synergetics. And I will talk about a concrete example, which is opinion formation. Then, the other section, which I call practice, I will talk about this software specifically designed for multi-level simulation, and then I will describe three examples. Again, the opinion formation model, but in a simulation setup. Then a gender segregation model based on real data from Germany, and finally another version of the Dove-Hope law-abider model. Okay. So we have the summary of the approach, multi-simulation model. We have here a population composed of many agents. So the typical case is the following. We have a population, and the population has its own attributes. What are the attributes of the population here? The population has its size, its sex ratio, because we have males and females, birth rate, and death rate. where I modeled only those 4 attributes here. Then, the population is composed of many individuals, and each individual has its own attributes. In this case, I put only 1 attribute for each individual, 2. One, the gender, male or female, and the other one is either dead or alive. And this is the main characteristic. The attributes of the population depends on the individual, and the individual attributes also depends on the population. So here I have an example. So whether an individual will die or not depends on the death rate. But at the same time, the death rate is affected by the population size. The population size, like if there is too many individuals currently living, there is some crowding effect, like maybe food is scarce, so the death rate will be higher if there is too many people. And at the same time, the size of the population depends on whether individuals die or they remain alive for the next simulation. So there is a cyclical dependence, like from individuals to aggregated values and from aggregated values to individual values. That's the main characteristic of multi-level simulation. ここまで大丈夫? Okay. So there is an issue, like there is a cyclical dependence, so if the individual depends on the group and the group depends on the individual, how do you solve this system? And this is the issue. The population attributes are evaluated based on current individuals' attributes. So, to calculate the size of the population, you calculate how many individuals died in this period. But to decide if an individual dies or not, you take the death rate of the previous population. So you take the death rate of the previous simulation step. Okay. So now, a comment of the difference between micro-simulation and multi-level simulation. Basically, both may seem very similar, but there is a key difference. When you take multi-level simulation, you can have policies according to the macro variables, and those policies change. But that means that in this model, individuals can look at the aggregated values and then change their behavior. However, in static microsimulation, the policies are static. That means that an individual doesn't have access to the aggregated variables, to the state of the population, to change his behavior.
So like there's a kind of model that's meaning that consists a kind of network. You cannot get all the information of the population, but they can get in touch with the agents nearby to get kind of limited information.
Good point. Because here I'm saying either they have access to the whole population or they have nothing, right? But you mentioned, what if you have access to some of the individuals? That's a very good question, and this is the answer. When we talk about multi-level simulation, individuals do not interact directly. They interact, they do something that affects the whole population, and they can read the state of the whole population. They change their environment. But you can never consider like social networks or a concept of neighborhood when you interact only with some agents. This is not allowed in multi-level simulation models. So that's the answer to your question, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, but if the relationship is a circle, how can you initialize the first scenario? How can we initialize the whole system? As the first beginning, how you can model it
will be here. Well, first, the specific initialization depends on the specific phenomena you are modeling. And second, you have to have in mind this relationship that you evaluate global attributes based on current individual attributes, but the attributes of individual agents depends on previous population attributes. So I guess you have to first assume a set of conditions for the total population, and then first you initialize the population for period 0, and then you initialize the agents for period 1. But you have to look specifically to your problem. And another issue is that in many cases you are interested in some initial state which is like some kind of equilibrium. So it doesn't matter what you calculate first, they will produce the same result. If the initial state is some kind of equilibrium. But again, it depends on the phenomena you are studying and your specific model. So, first example, opinion formation. And for this, I will approach it from the points of cybernetics and synergetics. The issue is the following. When we talk about synergetics, this is an interdisciplinary field of research concerning the cooperation of individual parts of a system, produces microscopic, spatial, temporal, functional structure. So we talk about feedback between the macro level and the micro level. So it says that it deals with self-organization of multi-component systems in several areas. So it's better understood if we look at this graph of the first chapter. First, we see that from stochastic processes, we advance to synergetics, but this is still in the gray area. The gray area means equation-based models. So that means in these models, they focus on analytical solutions, or at least numerical solutions. And from here, approaching same kind of phenomena, you have multi-level modeling, which is basically computational. But they approach the same kind of phenomena. So here we have the example, opinion formation. We have a population of agents, and they have to give their opinion about some topic. And each agent can say yes or no to the topic. And we set some initial conditions. First, the initial distribution is about half and half. Second, we assume that individuals are influenced by the opinion of others. That means if I say no, but everybody is saying yes, that I am likely to change my opinion to say, okay, yes. But if I say no, and everybody else say no too, I say, okay, no, I'm fine, I will continue saying no. So your opinion will be influenced by the opinion of the whole population. And I think that these two rules are very simple, but there is an emerging behavior. Like the population changes from an initial half and half to everybody saying yes, or to everybody saying no. So here's the mathematical model. Here we have this mu are the probabilities of transition. The probability of transition from no to yes, and the probability of transition from yes to no. So first we have this parameter V. V is called the flexibility. What happens if this parameter, if this value is increased? Both probabilities change. People is more flexible. People saying no can change to yes more easily, and the opposite is also true. People saying yes can change to no more easily. Both transitions are affected. There is this pi, which is the preference parameter. So if this parameter is higher, positive, so this value increases, the probability of going from no to yes increases, but this one, the probability of going from yes to no decreases because here I is negative. So basically it means the general preference of the population. We have this variable x, which is, it represents which which option has the majority in the system, either yes or no. This is the formula, and basically the range is from -1, that means everybody says no, to 1, that means everybody says yes. And this is the most important parameter of the model, the cousin. This parameter measures how important is the opinion of others in your own opinion. If this parameter is high, and if x is 1, and this parameter is high, the transition of going from no to yes will be very high, and the other transition from yes to no will be very low. But if x is -1, that means everybody says no, this transition will be very likely, going from yes to no, but this transition going from no to yes will be low, the probability. So this is quite a simple model, and you can solve it analytically. The process is described in the paper. It's quite simple, but well, you have this final result. This delivered means that here there is after many iterations, and this is the original configuration. So even though at the beginning, usually all the individuals are, the average of the population is close to 50%, half and half, but this is the result for a low value of B. It continues like that in this case. So the opinion continues dividing. But if the value is high, like in this case, the population will divert to say either everybody will say no, yes, close to 0, either everybody will say no, or everybody will say yes. But the probability of being like half and half is almost 0. Okay, so that's the very simple example. So now about the software. We have this software, Mimose, a very old software from 20 years ago. The PhD dissertation of this person. And it runs in Solaris on Linux. They say that they have a client in Java, but not the server, so basically you cannot run it. So, and it looks old, and so I say I don't want to use it.
Wait a minute. Not about the text, but how many people know the Solaris?
How many people what?
Know the Solaris.
Solaris.
Oh, well, how many people what?
No.
No Solaris? Oh, you don't know Solaris?
Ask
Really?
them.
Who knows Solaris? Who have used Solaris? Solaris. You know it?
But I haven't used it.
Okay. Well, Solaris is a Unix type operating system. It was from STO, no, or from Sun Microsystems. Yeah.
Usually using servers, not personal computer.
No, actually, because we have some workstations in my laboratory, very, very old, and it came with Solaris, a very, very old version. And actually, I hacked those computers and I installed Kento Linux. So I had to compile the kernel. It took like 20 hours. It was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. So it's a very old operating system. Few people use it now.
最後フリーになったの
今オラクルのものじゃないですか。You know that there is no company named Sun Microsystem because it was said by Oracle. By the way, how many people know the Sun Grid engine? Sun Grid engine.
Some Can of the system.
Yeah, of the grid system. SOAS grid system uses a sun grid engine. Grid system. Several years ago, that the sun grid engine system was developed by Sun Microsystems, and that era, the Solaris is the main OS operating system in Sun Microsystems. So Sun grid engine is good works in Solaris, but it says works on Linux, also Windows, or also the Mac. But it's hard to use it because it's very hard to install the Sun grid engine system to Linux or Windows or Mac, but easy to install in Solaris. Maybe under you know that I think all of you know that Java is from Sun Microsystem, but now it's in Oracle. ダメだな、知らないやついる。
So we are old.
Yeah, old.
I used to visit the same ecosystem in the US 6 years. By that time it was a great company.
オープンオフィスも3マイクロだったから。
Okay, so I continue with my presentation. So basically, there were many problems with this software. So instead of using that software to recreate this example, I used Excel. It works. It works very well. Basically, we have the whole parameters of the population, the coupling parameter kappa, and the v, which was not, the value was not set in the original paper, so I have to tune a nice value so that it only works. Then here we have many agents. We have first the population level, where we have this variable, the variable x, that means which one has the majority, yes or no. And this is the time. So, and we have the individual level, the agent. So each agent has one attribute, whether it says yes or no. So the initial value is random, but then after that there is some very simple rule with some probability. They will change. If they say yes, with some probability they will change from yes to no. And if they correctly say no, no's mean 0. 0 is no, 1 is yes. So if they correctly say no, then they will change to say yes with some probability. The probabilities are calculated here.
How about the preference?
But for this, very good. Each agent in the original model, each agent has its own preference. Well, you can set a preference for the whole population, or you can set a preference for each individual. In this simulation, and also in the one they did in Minose, they set the value to 0. That means no preference. Good point. Thank you. And this is the evolution. Even though the initial population is random and the value is close to 0, that means close to 50-50, this always evolves either to -1 or sometimes to 1. So I ran the model several times, and these are the results. In the beginning it's also always close to 0, and sometimes it evolves to 1, sometimes it evolves to -1. If you look at some of the results, you see that, for instance, the orange one, it starts going to yes, then goes to no, yes, and then finally it's going to yes. Okay, this is a quite simple model, and it can be implemented in Excel. However, it is always more it's nicer to implement it in a simulation software. Usually the code will be easier to read and understand. For instance, this formula is kind of hard to read, and maybe you see it and you don't see it. If you don't know well the model, it's very difficult to interpret this equation. But if you write in a simulation software, the code will be easier to understand. and you will make less mistakes. The second is that the simulation software will be more flexible. For instance, here I implemented the model with 20 agents, but if I want to change it to 50 agents, I have to make many modifications to the Excel spreadsheet. Like in many softwares, you just change one variable from 20 to 50, and all the other changes are automatic. Okay, so that was this example. These are the results in the original paper, which are not so different from mine. Okay, so this is another example. This is about gender segregation, and this is a real case study. But what they do in this case is they take a phenomena that is, there was a lot of gender segregation in some schools in the south of Germany. And 50 years ago, there was a lot of segregation. After 20 years, that decreased a lot. And they want to understand why, what happened. So they built a model, a multi-level simulation model, and use real data to fit the model and to see what they can understand from the model. So this is the process. In the 50s, they have like almost same number of single-sex schools in co-educational school, but 40 years later, there are very few single-sex schools, and most of them are co-education. They consider that this is good, that this is not, having single-sex schools is not good, that's segregation. So, and they model especially the issue of how sex were distributed to schools. So they say that in single-sex schools, if you have a male-only schools, all the teachers were male, and if you have a girls' school, all the teachers were girls. And they want to model that process. When you have to provide a new teacher, how that process influences this distribution. So this is the data they model from the south of Germany, over here. And that place has a lot of castles, a very nice place. So visited someday. So they have this model. The assumption when a teacher leaves his job, they have to replace it, and they replace it with a man or a woman with same probability. There is another issue that men stay in their job twice as long as women. Why? I think the main reason is because women get married, and after that they stop working. And the way that new women are assigned to schools depends on the proportion of women in that schools. That means if a school has a lot of women and they need a new teacher, that teacher will likely be a woman. But if you have a school that has mostly men teachers and they request a new teacher, the new teacher will probably not be a woman. That's the main idea here. And this is the probability of assigning a woman given this proportion of women in that school. This is a parameter, and this is the function. And again, you have a preference parameter, kappa, which will be the most important parameter of the model. That means if kappa is high, that means that, women will be assigned to girls only schools, now to schools with a lot of female teachers, and the opposite too. Okay, this is just what I'm saying. So here we have a 3-level simulation model. We have 3 levels. We have individual teachers, which are joined together in this population of teachers in a school. And also you have a population of many schools that are joined together in this big population called state. It has a list of schools. And the attributes depend like this. How many teachers are required depending on, okay, let's start from here. I'll start from this level. So, the sex ratio of this population depends on the sex of each individual teacher. And at the same time, the probability of requesting a new woman depends on the sex of all the teachers, and this probability depends on the ratio. Also, how many teachers I require depend on the duration of the contract of each teacher. Because if a teacher finishes contract, then the school will require a new teacher to the state. But basically, this models all the dependencies, the main dependencies between the several levels. The model was calibrated from data from this province in Germany. The duration of contract 30 years for men, 15 for women, the numbers of the schools. Okay, this is basically the data, and these are the results they have. This is the empirical data that shows that means for a school the percentage of women, that you have either a high percentage of women or a low percentage of women several years ago. But as time passes, recently we have that most of the schools have an intermediate number of female teachers. And these are the empirical data, and this is their simulation results, which basically follow the same properties. Well, that was a 3-level model. Now I want to talk about this model, the law-abiding model. We discussed it before using system dynamics. Here we can model the same concept, but instead of having 3 populations that change sizes, you have a fixed population of individuals, and each individual changes its behavior. That means the same individual can choose to behave like a dove, like a hawk, or like a law-abiding. And whether it changes from hawk to dove or from any other transitions depends on the attributes of the population. Here the attributes are described. Basically, it depends that if being a dove is profitable, so your probability of changing to a dove will be higher. Okay, and these are the simulation results, which are very similar to the system dynamic ones. I didn't implement this. Okay. So thank you for listening. So any questions or comments or suggestions are welcome. We still have some time. Anyone needs? I don't this means 0? Okay. More than it. Okay, thank you very much.
Next, group 3.
How about change the chair?
Okay, please start with your presentation.
Good morning, everybody. On behalf of Group 3, I'd like to give a greeting of Group 3. Group 3 includes me, Mr. Komori, Mr. Oda, and Mr. Ozaki. Today we would like to present about chapter 7 and chapter 8 of the book, Simulation for the Social Scientists by Nigel Gilbert. In the chapter 7, first of all, I will give you a brief introduction about cellular automata. And then after that, I will give you a tutorial of NetLogo. First of all, cellular automata, we call it CA, was originally developed by John von Neumann in 1940s. And, well, there are three types of CA, 1D, 2D, and 3D. The 1D CA, well, it's just a line of cell. And the most popular, the 2D CA is a grid, uniform grid of cells. And the cell can be on or off, or the state of the cell is 0 or 1. The point is that the state of cell is updated at each time by considering the previous state of itself and of its neighborhoods. So in other words, cellular automata is a world which presented by a uniform grid, and the laws of the world is that is represented by a uniform set of rules. The rules compute each cell state depends on its own state, its previous state, and its neighborhood's previous state. Well, cellular automata have been used as models in many areas like physical science, biology, and mathematics, as well as social science. And one of the simplest example, and certainly the best known example of CA is the game of life.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does the term of neighbors means naname?
There are two types of neighbors. Von Neumann's neighborhoods. Because this game of life originally developed by John von Neumann, and it's called John von Neumann neighborhoods. For example, this cell's neighborhoods is this four neighborhoods. So it's called von Neumann neighborhoods. And another neighborhood is Moore neighborhood. It includes all the cells around this. This cell. Okay. Well, the best known example of CA is the game of life. It was presented by John Conway in 1970, and the life is a two-dimension, a 2D CA, and the rule of life, the rules of life is that a dead cell will come to life if three of its neighbors are alive, and alive cells must not be overcrowded. That means they have to have more than 3 alive neighbors, or the alive cells must not be lonely. That means less than 2 alive neighborhoods. So if they are crowded or they are lonely, they will be died. For example, if the initial state of in the game of life, we have, for example, 2 cells alive and 3 cells alive like this. So in the next stage, because these cells and these cells have three alive neighborhoods, so it will become like this. So these two cells become alive. In other case, in other way, because these two cells have only two alive neighborhoods, so it be lonely. So it be turned off. So these two cells will be dead. And in the next stage, because this cell is overcrowded,
the right and left cell will die.
In this case.
This is a kind of oscillator.
Yes, yes. So
right and the right cell is lonely, then die.
Okay.
Only neighbor is the neighbor
yes.
is only one, so
Okay.
will die.
Yes, exactly. Because in the next stage, the situation here is become like this. So, and then in the next stage, the situation is become like this way. So this is called oscillators. They change from this shaft to this shaft and this shaft. So it's an oscillator.
はい、2つのネイバーがいたら、生きてたら、生きるんですか、生まれるんですか。
三つ。
真ん中のやつと3ついなくないですか。自分も含めて。
Neighbor exclude self.
Includes itself.
No,
exclude
self.
そしたら真ん中っていなくないですか。
Two or three, then survive.
So だから2以下の
two or three. Neighbor, if number of neighbor is 2 or 3, then survive.
So two or three neighborhoods is alive, then the cell remains alive. So this called oscillators, and in this case we have three cells, and it become horizontal or vertical. So it's called oscillators. So in the game of life, there are some this kind of shape of life. This shape of life survive. So I'm going to show it on analogy. I know that no.
In usage, I wrote many times of a life game program. So I knew well.
Yeah. For example, here we have some oscillators. Yeah. The oscillators from this shape to this shape, and they change all the time. And there are only several shapes of lives survive in the game of life. Yeah, we have it here. I think this one. This one. Well, I will explain about characteristics of CA. CA have three characteristics: localism, parallelism, and homogeneity. Because the state of the cell is updated by the properties of its cells and its neighborhood, so the CA have a localism. And all the cells across the CA is applied with the same rules. So the CA have parallelism characteristics. And Well, because the same set of rules that's applied across the CA, so it's for homogeneity, and all the cells is update at the same time. So it's updated parallelly.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
How to update all the cells at the same time in a computer program?
In a computer, for example, in the computer program, we have ticks global variables which represent the time. For example, tick 1, tick 2, tick 3, and the state of the cells in tick 1, tick 2 is calculated by the state of each cell and its neighborhoods on the tick 1. Okay. So there's a global variables called ticks. It's a time.
Like the steps in 18 bits, right? And so the problem is that perhaps that you said you first calculate the states of one certain cell, right? And the result of this calculation will will affect other cells. So the different orders of calculating the different cells will result in different results in updating the states of the cells.
I could get your point. What is this point?
I mean, here is a cell, and the neighbors here.
No, it's not one neighbor. There's no, this not normal neighborhood.
No.
So this one is the type of place.
I think in the example of this one, they use eight neighborhood.
For life game, the conway use more neighbor.
Yeah, they use 8.
8?
In this example, I think.
Okay, I will check that.
Okay. I mean, just like in the modes in ABM, perhaps here is your model, and here is cell 1.
What is the point? What is the point?
Cell 2, 3. I'm just trying to explain. Okay, and then first you apply the
to cell 1?
This cell 1. Then the results will become, this one will die, right?
No. The state of the cell is updated in parallel. So that means 1, 2, 3 at the same time. The rule is to update at the same time.
You calculate the 3. You calculate the 3 cells in the same time.
In the same time.
So if there are 4 cells connected together, you calculate the 4 cells.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, understand.
So that is the parallelism characteristics of CA.
And usual implementation, write the result in other work memory, then flip update. No use parallel computation.
What's the difference between the localism and if the parallelism calculated depends on the neighbors, but the localism calculated depends on the neighborhood as well. Then what is the major difference between these two?
Well, we don't talk about difference. We talk about the characteristics of local. I mean that localism means that the state of each cells is decided on the property of its neighborhood on the previous cell, on the previous state. So the time scale is different of this character and this character. In the character, the time is the same time, same step. So it's different.
So that's why you mean we save something in
Ah,
other
yeah.
memories
Oh.
at first and then.
Conceptually parallel. this
Yeah.
this is just implementation technique.
So we don't talk about how the software works. Maybe we have to have some work memory to calculate each cell, and then calculate all the CA and display in a time step called ticks. Yeah.
In Japanese, different. 並列並行。
变形
Okay, if you have interest in Game of Life, you can access to the original article, or you can access to this link. There are a lot of examples of the Game of Life, and a lot of useful materials of Game of Life. And you can access to Stephen Wolfram homepage, which well, a lot of research materials on simulation, social simulations.
Excuse me. Do you have any example in Game of Life?
Game of Life example here.
Real model.
in the reality. If there are some examples,
There.
some case.
Wow.
Can it be applied in group fighting? If two groups crash with each other, and then someone will die and someone will. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about this.
Maybe.
In my queuing model, we can apply to the workflow management, and the micro simulation model we can apply to the population in the real case. But I can't understand the life game how to apply to the real world.
Wow. Not all scientific research is applied to real world. No.
Just hobby, just for hobby use. A kind of expansion of a life game is each cell has 3 states. One is empty and weak and strong. Strong is weak. Yeah, strong means as predator. So they're very complicated simulation we just see. 日本語で強弱ライフっていうの。
So the game of life is the most simple example, the simplest example of CA, and because of course the application of CA is very wide, and net logo is still very strong simulation tool, and a lot of research use net logo.
微生物とかってこういうのなんないですか
Yeah. So this is the very first research using CA. So, well, this is the simplest one. So, in this book, I describe the simplest example of CA. And in the next chapter, we will talk about more. Really, you want some real application of research of CA. So, in the next chapter, Mr. Ota will talk about the sharper words, and the real, the more, in your words, real word. So in the next part, I will give tutorials of net logo. First of all, net logo is a programmable modeling environment for simulating natural and social phenomena, and you can access to the homepage of net logo to download the latest version of net logo. Well, net logo is still very popular simulation tool, and especially for academic purpose, is very strong. And now they have NetLogo 3D. There's one more dimension plus 2D. And the latest version of NetLogo is version 5. So I'm going to give a tutorial on NetLogo. First of all, there are three elements of NetLogo. The first is the patch, the patches, the totals, and the observers. Well, the patch, for example, this is CA. Then it's the patches are fixed cell on the CA, and because they are fixed on the CA, so they have coordinates, and the totals also have coordinates, but they can move on the top of the patches. And observers are the elements that can create new totals and can read and write and access to all the agents and variables. So I'm going to give you a tutorial so you can know more about these three elements. So because NetLogo is developed on Java, so it has Windows, Mac, and Linux version. So here is the main windows of NetLogo. There are three tabs in here. The first, the interface show the main windows of NetLogo. The information here is you write the information, the explanation of the model, and procedures here we coding here. Okay. First of all, I will create a button. Choose a button and click in here. For example, I will create a button called setup. So in the procedures, I will have to define a procedure called true setup. So what I'm going to do in the setup procedure is that I'm going to clear all. That means initialize the environment. And now I'm going to create total. I'm going to generate 100 totals on the CA, and I'm going to ask the total to have random positions on the map. So to conclude the procedure, you must input the code N. So move to interface. Now, if I click this setup button, it will generate 100 totals randomly on the map. And here's the total have headings. That means orientation, which the head of the total is. Now I'm going to create another button called Go. So if I check this forever, check this checkbox here, that means the procedure Go will be repeat, will be loop forever. So because I get a new button Go, so in the procedures I have to declare Go. In toGo, I will ask the agent to move randomly around the map. So I will ask the total to move to the right, random so if I click on the go button, you can see that the turtle is moving randomly around. Okay, now I don't like the black background, so I'm going to change the background of the. This is the patches, so I'm going to ask the patches to change its colors to, for example, green. So in the procedures, I will have to add a new procedures called grid patches. Now I'm going to create a setup. So because there's a new procedure for setup patches, so I have to decline a new procedure for two setup patches. So I will ask patches to set its color to green. And so now, if I click on the setup button, I can see that the patches has changed its color to green. So now imagine that this is a valley of grass, and the turtle will moving around and eat grass and gain its energy. And if they gain enough energy, they will produce a new turtle. And because the turtle moving around eating grass, so the grass will reduce. So first of all, I will have to procedures for eat grass, right? So in the in to-go procedures, I will ask the turtle to eat grass, for example here. So because there's new procedure of eat grass, so I have to declare new procedure called eat grass. So in the eat grass procedure, I will ask the turtle to now there's a if then command here. If the P color is green, equal to green, then set the P color, patch colors to black, and set the energy. To energy plus one, for example 10. So because the turtle have to have an energy variable, so we have to declare that the turtle's own energy. Okay. So because the lack of time, I will show. I will get the final version of the tutorials in here. Now, here's the final version of the tutorials. We have 100 totals generated on a green valley, and the turtle will move around and eat grass and grow with energy and produce new turtles. And in the end of simulation, the numbers of turtle will grow from 0 to from 100 to around and get stable around 300. And the number of grass, the green patches will reduce and stay stable at around 300. And here, the procedure, we have several procedures here. For example, I will explain about reproduce procedure. In this reproduce procedure, the turtle, if the turtle have the energy more than 50, it will create a new turtle, hatch. This command will create a new turtle which have an energy of 50. And if the turtle have energy less than 1, less than 0, it will die. And the turtle will gain 10 energy if they eat 1 grass. And for each move of the turtle will have to pay 1 energy for it. So I suggest that you download NetLogo, and you can find a lot of models in model library. For example, you can open a model. First of all, you can read the information. What is the model is? For example, in this model, there will be there's wolf and sheep moving around the green valley. The sheep move around and eat grass, and the wolves are moving around hunting the sheep, and the grass regrown. So, in this model, you can see that there are only sheep grow it.
Sheep never die.
Another case. Sheep. So, in the information, they have things to try. So, you are going to read the things to try and to change some parameters here. Change some parameters here, and we can see that what is going to change in this case. Well, still sheep, but a lot of sheep. So there's a lot of models in the model library, so you can find some interest model and try to do something with the model. And then you can learn to create a model from scratch, from zero. Okay, I'm going to end chapter 7 here. Do you have any questions?
Could you give us a comparison about source and net logo.
Okay, now we are on the internet, so I cannot say that net logo is not good as source or something like that. So anyway, in my opinion, well, in my opinion, because the net logo, they have only three agents: the patches, the total, and the observers.
Patch is not like an agent, just like a sport, I think.
So we are not talking about SWAS first. We're talking about multi-agent system. And in the net logo, we have only three type of agents: the patches, the agents, the patches, the totals, and the observers. However, in SWAS, we can create a lot of type of agents. So I think it's the most advantage point of SWAS to net logo. However, net logo is very easy to use, and it have you can generate you can edit the procedure while editing the interface, and create and the command itself is very easy to understand. Well, I cannot completely compare SWAS with net logo because it's totally different simulation framework. So this is in my opinion, the biggest advantage of SWAS to net level. I think that's we can implement a lot of type of agents and a lot of type of interaction between the agents and so on.
Because sometimes we can use both net logo and source to solve the same problems, such as the ecosystem. We also have write a source program to solve the problem about sheep, wolf, and grass. Could you compare them? Which such as if we use net logo to solve the ecosystem problem, what we focus on?
Well, I don't develop.
Maybe we can go to the same result.
I think that we cannot create the same model by using the source and also the net logo because the concept is different. Because there is no concept of cellular automaton in source.
If you want to solve a problem, such as the ecosystem.
But the world is different. The virtual world is different. In source, just only the cloud, like a cloud. But in the network, there is a grid system.
So if you want to compare,
you can do it by yourself.
And you can find the difference. I don't know. I don't develop those models in both SWAS and both SWAS and net logo, and I have no opinions about that.
But if you think about the small area, maybe net logo is good to analyze the problem. But if you consider the several areas, like maybe several 10 or 11, I don't know how many, but think about the many places, it's very hard to create by net logo because there is only one grid system. It's difficult to divide into several areas.
Yeah, I see that totally different. Just sometimes maybe I will encounter a problem how to use net logo or use source to solve the problem.
If you need the grid system, use net logo.
Okay, I will try.
That's
And also, Repass can import net logo.
So actually, we have a slide of comparing several Repass, SWAS, net logo, and so on. It's on the. It was on the poster before the Professor Deguchi's room. If you.
Are there any tables in this textbook? I think in chapter 10 or something.
I think it's
no. Maybe there is some description about the repast Mason and also network.
I think it's It's not on this chapter.
Yeah, in the later chapter.
Chapter 2?
I don't know exactly. どっかなかったツール比較の表。
なんか出口先生持ってましたけど。
いや違う、この本にあるよね。
いや、僕の担当部。
あれ
でしたら、多分チャプター10では。
どっかにツールの説明なかったっけ、エージェントですね。
変わるからね、これね。更新しないといけない。
あ、でもそこはそうか。表はなかった。
あ、いいや。
ファーストクラスに挙げてたシミュレーションの基礎とか。
ああ、わかったわかったわかった。ナイジェリアのもう一個の本だ。
違う本です。
エージェントベースモデルスだ。
なんか前回
あ
エージェントベースモデルスの中に。
表紙がちょっと。
あ、緑のやつ。
緑。
うん。あん中にあんだ。
I cannot find it.
Can I can I question? Please show me slide about CA. Do you know Stephen Wolfram?
Ah,
Wolfram.
this guy.
Yeah. He's famous for a tool.
Yes. You can find a lot of
この CA ですか
He is creator of mathematics.
マテマティカ、あ、I know.
Very famous.
ウォルフラムアルファ。
そう。Wolfram is.
ウォルフラムアルファがやっぱり
And his main work is practical application of Serra automaton. For example, the solid random number generator. She can create in a very chaotic phenomena by only this deterministic system. This can be applied for random number generator and cryptography.
Anyway.
And also, please, please show me your last model.
Ah, yes.
So, please show me code.
Yeah.
Code. The code. Code. Procedures. How about move turtles?
Go.
No, move turtles procedure, which is subroutine. Yes.
This is.
Can you try write random 10?
Okay.
This is only my free curiosity.
Make it move slowly.
Ah, so slow.
Can you change the speed? Make it slowly.
Oh.
So they move very
Movement.
locally. That means we have this coordinates 360 and 260. If I change the procedure into random, right random 360s, then the shifts can move in a much more range. And if you change to 10, the totals can move in area between 1 and 10 patches.
I thought that 360 was the like rotate to the right some angle before forward as one. I think so.
Ah, yeah, yes.
Then boy will move straight around.
Absolutely.
Just my curiosity. Okay, that's all.
それって全体のセルの数が決まってるんですか？
決まってる。それがね、変えられる。メニュー変わっちゃったからこの新しいカードまあ要は変えられるセッティングそうそうここ変えられるともっと大きくなるcan change the world 100 and 100 patches. We can change the patch size also.
ドローだと3つしかないパッチと
パッチ Children's and observer means, for example, switch buttons, slider, and monitors, and so on. And we can type directly on this command center. For example, you can type direct on the observer to go. Oh, sorry, yeah, just go. And then you can go, or you can set up, or so on. You can type directly on the command center. And we can change, for example, ask the turtle to do something.
タートルってさっきの羊とオオカミみたいにいろんな種類設定できるんですか？
そうです。モデルの設定によってタートルは何にするとかそういうことは自分のモデルの中で、設定できる。
一応いろんなエージェントがその中でいろんな種類のエージェントは一緒に入れる。
そうだね。まあそれからさっきここはシープ、ワーフとグラスあるんだけど、例えばグラスはパッチしてる。で、シープは タイトルはウーシフ。Any other questions? Okay. So the next presenter is Mr. Ozaki.
今何分ですか？
50分。
全然違うの。
いやいや、発表から何分か。
あ、そうですか。
Here, I will explain chapter 8, multi-agent model. And first, I'm explain the term agent. Automata which do more complex behavior is called agent. Automata is like this one. Agent is agent percepts environment, and agent is action, like this. And there is no clear definition of agent, but Hans and Singh said agent is the term which used to describe self-contained programs that can control their own actions based on their perceptions of their operating environment. And the aim of agent design is to create programs that interact intelligently with their environment. And the aim of agent design is to create programs that interact intelligently with their environment. And agent software has been much influenced by distributed artificial intelligence called DAI. And DAI is one of the field of AI. And DAI is to building networks of intelligent agents and investigating agents' properties. And this is much relevant to social simulation. So this chapter 8 I'll review some of basic ideas of the AI and explain how models involving many agents can be used for the social simulation. First, I'll explain about agent properties. Computer agents typically have the four properties. Autonomy. Agents operate without others having direct control of their actions and internal state. And social ability. Agents interact with other agents through some kind of language, a computer language rather than natural language. And reactivity. Agents are able to perceive their environment, which may be the physical world, virtual world of electronic networks, or simulated world, and respond to it. And proactivity, as well as reacting to their environment, agents are also able to take the initiative and engage in goal-directed behavior. Agent's behavior is often interpreted in terms of a metaphorical vocabulary of belief and desires, motives and emotions concepts, and are more usually used for people than computer. And for social simulation, we view the agent as having intentions. And this is the list of conception that we want to model with agents. Knowledge and belief, inference, social models, knowledge, representation, goals, planning, language, and emotions. And I'll explain some of these terms. First, I'll define knowledge and belief. Agent will act based on what they know about their environment or other agents. And some of the information may be incorrect. We call incorrect information belief to distinguish them from true knowledge. For example, there is agent A and agent B. And if agent A gets the information, agent B get the food. Get food in this place. Agent A infer this place there is food. Infer, but this food is agent B is already it, and there is nothing for food. So this is incorrect information. So this information is belief, not true knowledge. And next, goal. Agents are built to be autonomous and purposive. They need to act by a need to satisfy some internal goal, such as survival. And surviving may require the sub-goal, such as acquiring energy and avoiding reserve dangers. And there is much difficulties in defining these goals and sub-goals.
Excuse me. Agent, if 日本語でいいですか。エージェント B は食べ物を置かれ A に置かれて、それ間違える可能性もあるっていうことですか。
そうです。
違う。それは B が判断して、自分で判断して食べるか食べないか。
ここの場所にその食べ物があるっていう情報をAが出たとしても、それは確実な情報ではない。ここに食べ物があるっていうことを確定する情報ではないですよ。
合ってるかどうか、合ってるか合ってないかっていうよりも、合ってる、間違ってる可能性があるかどうか。途中で変わる場合もありますね。あるかどうか。
エージェントはこれはエンバイロメントね。エージェントは何かパーセプション、要は実際のエージェントの周りのエンバイロメント環境を感知して何かアクションを起こすっていう構造なんです。でこのパーセプションが要は世界をこのエージェントが感知する、パーセプするわけだから、それが合ってる本当に環境の本当の情報かどうかは分からない。どうしても主観的なパーセプション。
この時点では例えば、ここに A はここに食料があるっていうのは近くできます。だけどここに B がいて、この B が食料を食べることによって環境が変化が起こってしまうけど、そういうことは A は知らないわけですよ。なぜかというと、そのエージェント同士へのパーセプションがなくて、ただ単に環境のパーセプションしかないから。だからこれは不確定な情報なので便利。
So, for example, the purpose of the agent is to live. To live, the agent needs to get food. And it is also important to if there is near there is enemies, agent have to avoid enemies. So this is known as sub-goals to avoid risky action. And the next, planning. An agent needs to have some way of determining what behavior is likely to lead to the satisfaction of its goals. This planning is going backwards from desired goal state and inferring what action would lead to the goal. And fourth, I'll explain language. People speak with the intention of communicating with other people. And such communications need to be modeled by specifying a language for communication. But there has been difficulties to model human language. And fifth, I'll explain emotions. All the people have emotions, and there has been little research within AI on how this can best be modeled. And there's still some basic questions about emotions that remain to be clarified. So, to simulate the great majority of human, psychological, and social phenomena, to any level of detail may be unrealistic. Next, I'll explain agent architecture. The traditional AI approach to building agents with cognitive abilities is based on symbolic paradigm, and this is about pattern matching rule. For example, whenever agent receives the symbol hello as a message from agent B, agent A always replies, "Can I help you?" As you understand, this paradigm has many problems. Fragility, complexity, and difficulties about common sense. So the way of approaching to the problems are production system, object orientation, and language parsing and generation, and learning techniques. This chapter explain production system and object orientation. Production systems. Most agents in multi-agent models are built using some kind of rule systems. And the most simplest is production systems. Production systems is constructed by three parts: a set of rules, a working memory, and a rule interpreter. And working memory is stock the information, and rule interpreter is think about rules and whether rule higher or not, thinking. And finally, I will talk about object orientation. A natural way of programming agent is to use an object-oriented programming language. And in this context, objects are programming structures that hold both data and procedures for operating on those data. And the fit between object orientation and multi-agent modeling is so close that nearly all multi-agent simulations are written using object-oriented programming languages. That's all. Any questions?
でもあと2人いるんですね。一回休憩の方が
もうパッと終わります。
いや、でもまあ、強いですよ。
パッと終わる。
いや、それはわかんないでしょ。だって、どうなるかわかんないから。別に昼挟んでからでもいいです。そうした方がいい。そうした方がいい。
まあ一気にやっちゃいたいって言うんだったら。
なんかこう、そんな急ぐ必要ないんじゃないですか。
他の人はどうですか？どっちか。じゃあ休憩入れたい人と入れない人で多数決する。
やればいいじゃん。
だって今からやったらだってもう1時間以上経ってるんですよ、2人やるのに。でもうあと2人残ってるって言って1時間以上経っちゃったら2時とかなっちゃう。どうする？まあいいですけど。おつかみやでしょ。なんか言った方がいいかなっていう感じがしたので僕は。はい、自分の勘違いだったらどうですかね。いや、なんか言ってくださいよ。じゃあこのまま続けたい人。一回休憩入れたい人。やりましょう。
めんどくせえ。編集しといてね、じゃあ。編集しといて。
なんかあるんですか？
あ、そうか。そう言ってユーストですね。
いやそう言ってくればいいじゃないですか。それが理由じゃないですか。じゃあ続けますか。
いやさ、小の切れ目で別に小の切れ目だったらわかるんだけどさ、人の切れ目で切るって意味がわかんない。普通に考えたら。確かにここで切るのがあれですね。それだったらグエンさんが終わったところで切りゃよかったのに。まあ確かに。まあでも。まあもう決まっちゃったんで。